Hi, I'm Vizzy. I like making diagrams, so let's get right into it. What is a person? I want to be very particular with my words because person does not mean the same thing as human. Human is a biological distinction. So if you have human DNA, you are a human. But a person is a little harder to talk about, and it gets into some ideas that we have of self-identity and who we are. So I want to talk about my idea of liquid personhood. So before I address my thoughts on the matter, I want to talk about a famous thought experiment. The ship of Theseus. So you've probably already heard this thought experiment before, but I'll sum it up just in case you haven't. The ship of Theseus asks us, if I were to replace one part of this ship, would it remain the same? Let's say the sail, for example. If it's torn during a storm and I have to replace it, is it still the same ship? Your answer might be yes. Then we go more extreme. What if I replaced half of the ship? Or what if I replaced the entire ship, every single piece replaced? And this gives us a bit of an issue. At what point did it stop being the same ship? Or rather, is it a different ship? My consensus on this is that the idea of what we thought as the ship was always different. It changed even before you changed the planks. It changed before the sail was changed, before there was new oars. Everything was different. So kind of like us, on a physical level, it is different. Now the issue, of course, is that we have natural assumptions we make to certain objects. And the same thing is true for people. This is a ship because of its function. We have decided that the arrangement of these things is a ship. The things that it does makes it a ship. The second I take a piece of the ship out, the ship doesn't stop being a ship, but the piece stops being a ship. It starts being its own separate part, a wood plank. So when we arrange certain things in an order, we have agreed that it is something. We are naturally assuming that it remains one thing. But in reality, it's only a ship because we agree that it is. Same thing with a person. We only agree that we're people because we say we are. And it's more practical that way. But is it necessarily truthful? I'm not too sure. Most of the issues that arise when talking about what a person is the mind-body split. The idea that you are your mind. You are your consciousness that exists in your brain. Or you are your physical vessel that carries that consciousness. And there are, of course, issues with both. And there are some thought experiments to compare both. But ultimately, when it boils down to it, we can't separate them. At least not in a way that is possible. Regardless of which one we think is more of us, they both seem to be and seem not to be. So the way that I understand people to be is that we are not a constant thing. And that might sound a little strange, so I'll explain a little more. I think on a physical level and on a mental level, we are capable of change. And not only that, we are consistently changing through natural means and even subtle psychological ones. So the us that exists, in my opinion, is like a liquid state. We fill up the vessel that we call ourselves, the you, so to speak. So because we fill up this vessel, and because people perceive us as being ourselves, that makes the self. And in turn, that makes a person. Of course, this idea is very similar to David Hume's bundle theory, which basically says that we are a bundle of different things. The things we like, the things we believe, and then that bundle changes over time. Well, you may be thinking for yourself, what does this mean in terms of legal implication? If I'm not a person and I'm just some liquid that changes over time, does that mean I should be punished for the things that someone that wasn't me did? So when we get into the legality, there's two main categories: the legal subjects and the things. So legal subjects have some rights and different protections under the law, while things do not. The real one we have to focus on are natural persons, or human subjects. Because as the law understands us, we are one singular being. And of course, that goes contrary to what I was talking about earlier. If we're this changing, flowing existence, we are somehow also one being that's always existed, which I would offer my solution to the conundrum is the legal you. So the legal self that exists under the law is a combination of everything you've done. Your name, your age, your ethnicity, your criminal record. All of those things exist to categorize yourself. And parts of it can even be changed, such as your name. So this legal you is not the actual you. This is a file for organization. But people aren't files. People aren't just text on a page, and we shouldn't ever think we are just that. But why does any of this matter? Why does what we are as people matter at all? Fundamentally, what philosophy seeks to do is answer the questions that we have. And at the core of this, it's asking, who we are. Who am I? What kind of life should I live? How should I live that life? That's what we seek to answer with philosophy. And whether or not you agree with my idea is perfectly fine. But at least to myself, the understanding, or at least the thought that I am a changing being, is comforting. Sometimes it can be disconcerting to think you will remain the same, or you're static or stuck. And I think that can be harmful rhetoric for some people. I know it is for me. It's easier to understand myself as not a solid state thing, but as a process, a flowing, moving, liquid person. And the nice part is that in the future, if I decide this isn't really what I want to believe anymore, I'm free to change that. I'm free to follow what I ideologically agree with. So what do you think about liquid personhood? Do you think it makes sense for understanding the self as a liquid instead of a solid? Or do you have some other idea for what you think personhood is? As always, thanks for watching.